Hello and welcome to the dungeons. Today we're talking about the mythic crossbow, its damage ranges, ideal perks, and looking at its performance. The mythic crossbow has the lowest damage range of mythical weapons, starting at 48 and capping out at 54. However, this is the only weapon in the game that offers you 3 perks. All mythic crossbows are a reload crossbow, while still allowing you to select 2 additional perks. Amongst those 2 additional perks, I would recommend slowing, attack power, or criticals. A caveat of its performance. While being charged, you cannot deploy the drawstring, otherwise you'll disrupt its charge period. Once charged, it fires a blade. However, mind you that blade can be disrupted by structures and your allies. Looking at this weapon's cooldown period, the mythic crossbow has the longest cooldown period of any mythic weapon. You will find that cooldown period to be 20 seconds long, meaning you will need to rely on it as a slowing tool, which is why I recommend the perk. However, its charge period is indefinite. Once charged, it will keep its charge until the final bolt is fired, meaning you can keep a bolt readied on your back. Once you have fired off that bolt, the remaining bolts will then be ready to you. Because the physical contact of the weapon is being made against a target, weapon perks can transfer over, another excellent reason to have slowing on your crossbow. A feature I enjoy using specifically for the crossbow is the grip toggle feature. This can be found in your pause menu on the other tab. This allows you to keep the weapon in your hand at all times regardless if you're gripping your triggers. This gives you one less thing to think about with your crossbow, as well as save those knuckles and allow you to keep that weapon in hand at all times. Let's take a look at how this thing really performs against 2 zombies, once while charged and the other while uncharged. You can place 2 hands on the crossbow to more accurately use its sights. However, you might be best shooting from the hip or navel. It takes multiple shots against a zombie. However, the explosions of your charge period are far stronger. In crowds, this weapon can be quite good. However, you must wait for your enemies to be shoulder to shoulder rather than staggered, as the explosion is rather minimal, but does great damage. At the top of the stairs, I will demonstrate that dispersal technique. But remember, it's a very long charge period, meaning you are most often best firing it as a standard crossbow. But don't fall out of habit of charging it, as I often do. Beautiful. It's important to shoot an enemy after they've completed their stand-up animation to remove their invulnerability frames. And here we can see how great of a tool it is against crowds of enemies, even outside of its charge period, assuming you've taken your slowing perk. However, there were several times in this conflict where I could have charged my weapon, though my mind goes to the drawstring before it goes to the trigger, so it'll take time to get into a swing with this weapon. In my practices with this weapon, I have found it best to initially deploy your 8 shots, and once you have slowed a few enemies, giving you the time to charge the weapon. However, it is also good to charge the weapon before entering a room to start the fight with that powerful burst of damage. At the end of a fight, I often like to keep a bolt on my shoulder. However, that is a niche tool, though a useful one. Often cleaning up the last enemy with an offhanded weapon. Let's look at its performance against a legendary Tier 7 Doomer. I was pleasantly surprised by its performance against this boss. Despite its minimal damage, its DPS and explosions caused by its charge period allowed me to melt this boss. Let's sit back and enjoy the tunes.